Welcome back, and thanks so much for staying with us. And as we head into the festive season, we are all well aware of the dangers and careless behavior that some people engage in. Now, these include road carnage, domestic violence, and alcohol and substance abuse. There's much needed education on responsible alcohol consumption amongst youth and adults. In the studio, we're joined by Dan Wolf, the director and senior psychologist at Houghton House Group, as well as Adrian Burta from the Industry Association for Responsible Alcohol Use, in short known as ARA. You're welcome to call. Give us your comments on 011-759-664 or 011-759-6402. To both of you, thanks so much for joining us. Shalom to you, Dan. Let's just look at, Adrian, the behavior and how it escalates, particularly during this time of the year. Any particular reason?
Well, I think it is the festive season, so clearly people want to celebrate the fact that they've got through another tough year and you know, be with their friends, family, and socialize. So I think the possibilities of drinking more this time of the year are really there. And so it's critically important that people realize that they still have a responsibility and that they can enjoy themselves. Those who choose to drink, those who don't choose to drink, absolutely fine. But those who choose to drink, they should do so in moderation, and they can still have a great time with their family and friends.
Just the clients or patients that come through your doors and the issues that they have to grapple with, losing the balance in their lives and the impact it has on their families. Give us the extent that you've seen of the damage of alcohol and substance abuse.
The extent is based on a person's total powerlessness and unmanageability. And certainly, you know, if one person lands up in treatment, we need to accept that 12 people have been deeply affected by the chaos and the unmanageability that's erupted around their lives. And I think what we need to start reconsidering is what is normal. Is this festive season just an excuse, an opportunity to drink on the house and to you know, connect in an unmanageable, dysfunctional way with colleagues, or is it an acknowledgement of a year of hard work? And one has to start asking these questions, because the culture that I'm seeing certainly normalizes substance abuse. And that's obviously of great concern, and these are the casualties that we're seeing on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, but beyond the belief system or the value system, how then do we see behavioral change, especially amongst adults, where one would think they'd be responsible enough to behave in a socially acceptable manner?
I think education plays a vital role, and I think people must see and understand their impact on their families and friends, and that is why on ETV, for example, we have now launched our big advertising campaign with ads that really speak to parents and show the important role, in this particular instance, the negative role that they can have on their kids by not setting a correct example. So it's critically important in the home, particularly over this period when you do have kids that are not at school anymore, that parents engage with their kids, that they talk to their kids, that they, if their kids are going to go to a party, that they phone the parents of whichever the party, wherever the house is going to be, and establish, please don't serve alcohol, my child is underage, and actually care. I think our lives have got so incredible, and so, you know, we're under such a lot of pressure that it's so much easier just to give your son or daughter, here's a couple of £100, go and enjoy yourself at the mall, you know, that kind of thing, without actually dealing with those issues.
Well, I think the point being emphasized is parents need to talk, and importantly, parents need to know where their children are over this period.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And it's that state of feeling hectic where there isn't control in any particular area of your lives, and maybe as a form of escape, you know, children and even adults will get up to bad behavior.
Yeah, certainly, look, one looks at bad behavior, and perhaps that falls into the category of alcohol abuse. But then there's the disease of addiction. Correct. And when it comes to that, I would encourage people and the community at large to acknowledge that alcoholism is a reality. And when people say, I'm not drinking, I don't drink, want to drink, I'm on a detox, whatever they say, people need to be sensitive to that, because we don't know what's going on for the next person. We don't know the extent of the struggle that they may be dealing with.
Sure. But even as a social drinker or somebody who, often says, no, I can manage my drink. I'm a functional alcoholic, if you will. There are certain situations you can find yourself in that could be worsened by virtue of the fact that you indulge.
But absolutely. I think the critical point Dan made is really the difference between alcoholics who are dependent and people who occasionally misuse. Now, one needs to look at those people who occasionally misuse, because they can, in fact, when that occasional misuse, cause havoc. So that's why it's critically important. Once again, our theme with kids and with parents is also saying, who says one more drink won't hurt? In other words, we're not saying, we're talking to people who think, but I'm fine and I'm doing it, maybe I'll just have more. Yeah. They've got to be. But that's the thing. I mean,
it's in that kind of environment where somebody says, oh, have a loop dope. And it's socially acceptable, and yet you could impact or kill somebody on the roads.
Absolutely, and this is a reality. You talk about what are the casualties we deal with. It wasn't long ago I dealt with a young girl who, after a bottle or two of wine, hit the oncoming car and killed the passenger. So, one has to then consider what sort of impact that would be having on her lives, and on her life and on the life of others, and this is a reality. Our defense mechanism as human beings, not as alcoholics, as a human being, allows us to believe this will not happen to me.
Yeah.
And that's a frightening reality. So there's a great need for support from the society, and a readjustment, as I said, to what we are prepared to consider as normal.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick ad break and we'll continue our discussion just after the news headlines. We're speaking to Adrian Botha from the ARA, as well as Dan Wolf, the Director and Senior Psychologist at Houghton House. And as always, you're welcome to join in on the discussion on 011-759-6401 or 6402. We're back after this. ARA. The lines are open on 011-759-6401. Alida in Cape Town, good morning to you.
Cynthia, how are you?
I'm very well, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
What's your view?
You know what, I'm listening to your conversation, and I've just got this urge to call you, because alcohol is one of the biggest killers on our roads today. I'm with a non-profit organization called Drive More Safely, and we get to do with this on a daily basis. And you know what? We're days away from the Christmas holidays, and already we've lost so many people on the roads. Yeah, please, guys, don't drink and drive, man.
Yeah. Alida, we really appreciate, and we know that your work is difficult because you're dealing with adults who ideally should have the maturity to behave in a socially acceptable manner. Thanks so much, Alida. And that's exactly the point, that it seems a level of acceptance in misbehavior.
Well, I think what is important is that the industry's taken quite a leap in that regard with the establishment of these evidence centres across the country now. SAB has funded, I think it's 9 already, and they want to do 15 by February next year. And really, Cindy, it's a one-stop shop. So if you drink and get caught, you're going to be processed. So what one has to do with this drink drive, which is a major problem, you've got to get behavior change. And to get behavior change, you've got to have awareness, but you've got to have enforcement. So people have got to know that it's not a choice, that they have to, if they're going to drink, they take a cab or they get a designated driver, but they don't drive drunk. It's absolutely critical.
I think on the other end of the spectrum, we're talking about the necessary punitive approaches, and then we also need to acknowledge that there's a wealth of facilities available. You're prepared to ask for the support that they need. For number one, the families need to acknowledge when there's a problem. If it's there, it needs to be acknowledged. And number two, then one has to start making the necessary and appropriate moves forward to access the support. There's a broad spectrum of facilities available.
Yeah, but there's no shame in rehab. I mean, there's also the one line used in pubs where it says rehab is for quitters, which is rather ironic in a sense, because if you're in trouble, you need to deal with the problem.
Well, certainly the shame and the stigma is gradually dissipating, and there's a broad culture of recovery. And there are people who are proud to acknowledge that they are in recovery, that they have committed to abstinence, that they're dealing with life and facing reality, whatever that may be, whether it's a good day or bad day. They're up for it and ready to commit to what life deals with.
And the alcohol production industry, has it taken enough responsibility in educating and dealing with all
I
sorts
think
of
we can always do more, but my association, the ARA, is funded by the industry. It was established by the industry in the 1980s, so that we've been proactive in trying to make a difference. But certainly there's always more that we can do, and we will continue to persevere in terms of at least that educational aspect, because Dan's doing a magnificent job with those people who are dependent alcoholics, those people who need to be, but we also need to deal with, as I said earlier, with those who have one drink too many, who are not alcoholics, but who can cause havoc. So it's clearly critically important that we send that message: look at your behavior, look what you're doing, enjoy yourself, but do so responsibly.
And acknowledge also that it's a progressive situation. Certainly. So there's a fine line between the binge drinker and the person who becomes dependent.
All right, thanks so much to both for coming through this morning, and thanks for your insight. We're speaking to Adrian Buerta from he's the spokesperson for the Industry Association for Responsible Alcohol Use, and Dan Wolf, the director and senior psychologist at Houghton House. And thanks so much for your calls and comments as well. We're back after this.